This is Space Cat's Peace Turtles, the unofficial podcast for Fantasy Flight's Twilight Imperium. Episode 82, GenCon Signups and Monuments with Blarknob. Music by Ben Prunty, featuring Matt Martins and Hunter Donaldson.
I love that we have you back, Knob Daddy, a year, like an exact year later. And I realize as long as this show goes, there's going to be that special May-ish, like, Knob Daddy episode where we all meet back, the three of us.
Yeah, it'll be the Knobiversary.
Yeah,
the Knobiversary.
Oh, my God.
So here's what I want to start the show. We're joined. You've already heard his voice. We're joined by Blarknob, and Blarknob. Why did your mother name you Knob Daddy? What a strange decision by her. I've never understood it.
She was on something. It was a rough day.
We've got Blarknob on the show today because we got to talk about GenCon, even though GenCon is months away.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I am super excited because this weekend, the event signups for GenCon events go up, which means if you want to get into the tournament, you got to jump on that like literally as soon as possible this Sunday.
Yeah,
that's right.
How quickly did it sell out last year? It was like...
It was definitely in the first day. I don't remember how many hours it took or if it was even counted in hours, but it was very fast.
Yeah.
It was very fast.
Very fast. And we can only assume TI4 has gotten bigger and there are going to be more people looking.
Yeah, as it crawls up that BGG
games.
list, right?
Yeah, and we're number 9 as of this recording. Number 9 on the top board games. That's pretty cool. But so today we're going to walk through what GenCon kind of looks like for people that are planning to go. But also it's going to be some information about how Blarknob runs his tournament, so that maybe if you are other tournament organizers in different areas want to kind of mimic his style, you'll have that information to do that. So hopefully a little bit for everybody. We'll also just talk about more generic stuff about GenCon beyond just the tournament itself. So lots to cover, but the reason we're doing this is because this weekend is when you have to sign up, and we want you to be able to get in there. So Blarknob, give us the details. Give us those deets on when exactly people need to be at their computer at the ready to hit that sign up button.
All right, so GenCon's event registration is May 19th at noon Eastern Time. Now, if you think you just log into the website at noon and hit register, that's not what you want to do. You want to do what's called a wish list on GenCon's event registration system.
Yeah.
So right now they have their event listing open. You can go find events. If you want to find our event, might be hard to find it by typing in Twilight Imperium. You actually want to type in just the word Twilight. For whatever reason, GenCon's search doesn't work with multi-words very well.
It's
Weird.
the worst. You can't just we're going to talk about our event a little bit too. We Space Cats Peace Turtles is going to have an event, but you cannot type Space Cats and find our event. But for some reason, if you type Peace Turtles, it works.
Yes.
So inexplicably, good luck trying to find all of these different events we're going to tell you to look up.
Yeah.
But
So the event registration search is a little weird. You can find our events by searching just Twilight or by searching for Rogue Judges. That's the greater organization that runs our events. So you can find them that way. The qualifying rounds are Thursday and Friday at 8 a.m. Don't sign up for
Bright
both.
and early.
Yeah, don't sign up for both. Just sign up for one. Bright and early. We get an early start so we can actually finish. If you add those to your wish list in the GenCon event registration system, you'll be ready for registration. Then when that day comes, you click Process Wish List, and it'll automatically queue you for tickets for that event. Now, that doesn't guarantee you're going to get a ticket, but it gets you in that queue quickly.
yeah, it's the fastest way to kind of get yourself in the sign-up queue. So yeah, Thursday, Friday, 8 a.m. Look for those events. And so let's kind of walk through the tournament itself too. You say 8 a.m. How tight is that window, and what does that kind of look like on your guys' end?
Yeah, so we start the games at 8 a.m. So you want to arrive to the event prior to that. If it's time to start and registered ticket holders aren't there, we'll accept generic tickets to fill the seats. And we start promptly on time because we have a 6-hour window for each qualifying round. That means the game has to finish in 6 hours. If we hit that 6-hour mark, we call time. The game ends right there, and we go to Imperium Rex tiebreakers.
Yeah, which is crazy. It adds a whole new level to the game. Last year we only saw one game come down to the wire.
Yeah,
it was only one.
Yeah,
but you felt it in that game. You felt the a player who won. You basically could say part of the reason they won was like someone else made a mistake because they were rushing their decision. Now you could always make that case. I've made that case against myself when I'm whining about losing. It's because I had to rush a decision. Wah, wah, wah. But we really did see it. So it's really important to be playing fairly fast. And I know you and your moderating team are going to be kind of on. You've got your Blark hammer out and you're going to be banging the gavel, the knob gavel.
Yeah, we try not to like. We try not to like force players along, but we move the game along at a steady pace. You might think we're crazy for trying to fit these games into 6 hours, but almost none of them actually go to that time limit.
Right.
Back in the TI 3 days, we had a championship finish in under 4 hours. It was like 3 hours and 15 minutes,
Wow.
which was just amazing. That was an 8-player final as well because we had 8-player support in TI 3. But we move the players along. Each game has a dedicated game master. They will, announce timing windows. They'll walk through some of the phases. They'll keep players on top of things. So you try to avoid the whose turn is it moments.
Yeah, right. I will say this. I just want to say if anybody is listening to this and feeling a little like, this sounds kind of tense. Like I'm gonna have to get all of this Twilight Imperium done so quickly. We watched every game and recorded every game last year. And
you can't prove that.
Okay. Well, that is true that we did do that. And none of them felt rushed, in my opinion.
No,
as far as the moderating goes. Like everything just moves at a very smooth, solid pace.
Yeah, and so even within player discussion and stuff. Because the thing is, too, especially I think there's plenty of people that like have gotten used to playing on Tabletop Simulator. Yeah. And the game, like, audibly moves slower, like talking to each other moves so much slower. And so for some people, maybe you're coming and you've only played Tabletop Simulator. I don't know how many people that's true for, but it moves so much faster when it is in person with a moderator. Like I can't overstate how fast it moves when a moderator is kind of just like, you're always just there checking little things while the players just kind of boogie along. I mean, it really just goes and goes and goes. So it's a really great pace that gets set.
Yeah, we've got a few objectives we set for ourselves as moderators. We want the game to move on in a timely manner. We want to make sure the game state is accurate, and we want to make sure everyone has a good time.
Right.
And we also try our hardest to avoid any kind of coaching situations.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to make any decisions for players. We're not going to. We're going to try not to point out the good play, even though it's there.
It is eerily difficult to do that as a moderator. It's really hard to like, especially what I found in our tournament was indicating whether or not someone can and if they should fire PDS shots.
Yeah, that's the toughest one.
It's like this web of horrible just circumstance where you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to tell you, but you need to do something in this timing window, whether it's a yes or a no.
Yeah.
I don't know how to tell you.
Yeah, the PDS timing window is hard. The sabotage timing window is always kind of hard.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, it's the sabotage timing window.
Yeah, I tried to just like at the start of a game be like, listen, if you want to do a sabotage, you gotta shout it out. Now, obviously, that's even worse on TTS because people. Yeah. It's really easy to talk over each other, but in person, hopefully, it's pretty easy for someone to just kind of like pop their hand up and like, hey, I've got a thing. I'm gonna do a thing.
Yeah.
But all that being said, it's certainly I think smoother. I won't say easier to moderate in person, but it is smoother to moderate in person.
You have the advantage of eye contact and facial expressions and everything that comes with in-person interactions. Right, like that's the toughest part for me about TTS is you lose all of that.
Oh yeah, yeah. So there's 3 games on Thursday and 3 games on Friday.
That's right.
Tournament.
And
that means
the event will look like it's all the tickets for 3 different games, so that's 18 tickets per day. But we'll split
which is only,
everyone up.
So what you're telling me, Blarknob, is that only 36 people at Gen Con are allowed to play Twilight Imperium.
Yep, that's it. There's no other Twilight Imperium. No, of course not. So this year we're also running several casual events. So we're going to have 3 on Thursday and 3 on Friday at 4 o'clock. They kind of appear the same way with the 18 slots. And we're just going to do casual games. I'm also going to offer up the option for those casual games to play my homebrew Monuments expansion in it. And then at the very least, the winner of that game will receive a nice printed copy of the Monuments expansion. And we'll go over that in a bit. Yep.
I want to talk about Monuments more in a minute, but first, I kind of want to make sure people listening to this show that are going to Gen Con and are interested in TI are fully aware of the 2 different types of games going on, and to be, because I think what we saw last year, and I know what you've seen in many years, is a lot of people see a TI event and they just sign up for it because they want to play TI.
They just want to play.
And so I want to encourage people where if they're not looking for that kind of rushed, die-hard competitive experience of TI, to definitely do the casual games, because honestly, I'm looking forward to even just like coming and chilling by some of the casual games to see how they go, because I feel like they're going to be a lot more fun just by virtue of, I don't know, being casual and being people just, coming to hang out and play TI. Are those timed as well? Are those 6-hour events, or are those
we do
open?
We do only have the table for so long.
Right.
And that's just a reality of the convention.
Right. Yes.
We don't have the table for the whole day. So they are timed, but
even still, even with that, it's. I mean, I'll be honest here. I wouldn't want to not have a timed experience, because at Gen Con, there's actually quite a lot to do. So it's nice to set yourself a limit on, because you could just sit there and play TI all day, and lose track of your schedule. But I encourage people to do a lot of other stuff at Gen Con.
Yeah, you could play.
You pretty big convention.
You could play one game the whole weekend. I know when I first started going to Gen Con, all I did was play Magic the whole time. For 4 days, I would just play Magic the Gathering, and you can do that, but you learn that there's a whole lot going on at the convention, and there's a ton to do. So I think it's a big ask to have our players play 2 rounds of Twilight in the weekend. So asking for more than that, but there's a ton to do, and you're welcome at our tables. I know there's actually another organizer with some Twilight Imperium events that I saw, where he's integrating some options from TI3 into the game, which looks fascinating. Yeah. So those are there.
That's the fun of any of the casual events that happen at Gen Con, is even with almost any game, there's someone out there hosting some game where it's like, wait, what did you do to it? Like, there's so many Game of Thrones board game events where they have the craziest board I've ever seen. I remember being absolutely blown away by that, like hand-painted wooden huge tables, and
I got to play on one of those.
All kinds of crazy stuff. You did?
Yeah, it was really cool. I know for several years there was a guy who ran a 16-player TI3 game. It was madness.
Yeah. Well, so let's get that. We're going to come back to the topic of the tournament. We're going to get into a little bit more nitty gritty.
Here, wait, real quick before we move forward. I just wanted to go ahead and throw this out there, because as we're talking about these casual games and talking about like the fact that you're going to be playing Monuments there, I kind of I don't know even what me and Matt's Gen Con schedule is at this point.
Yep.
But I think I'm going to get a ticket to the Friday at 4 p.m. game, Matt, and I'm wondering if you would also try and do that. Now, that being said, it would be a very tentative ticket, because I don't know what's going to happen to us.
Yeah, you'll have to pray to the Gen Con gods about that.
Yeah, I know Thursday there's no way we could do that, because that will be in the middle of our event. But Friday, what do you think, Matt? What do you say about that?
Maybe. I would hate to take tickets away from other people. That's how I feel about these things. But
well,
you know what could be fun, and this is something, because Hunter just sprung this on me, this is something we'll be coming up with more. But what could also be fun is to record a second game, which is if Hunter gets in the game, we get to record a POV game from Hunter's perspective.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Where Hunter shows us his cards and all this information, and we get to get little deets
That would be
about
funny.
his game.
I like
we'll
it.
see. We'll
I
see
like
what it all looks like, but sounds like Hunter's going to try to play.
I want to. I want those monuments. That's the thing, is I want to win the prize.
Oh yeah. They're pretty cool.
Well, Blarknob, walk us through monuments, because we kind of teased them in our expansion wish list stuff, but I feel like you're going to obviously do way better justice to what monuments really are.
Yeah, okay. So when my group at home, when we were first playing TI4, we really thought that construction wasn't the most powerful strategy card. And I think that's a pretty good consensus. Like, it's obviously not the worst one, but it doesn't get picked all that often, and I wanted to
It has no wow factor.
Yeah.
This is the main thing. Even when it's good, it's like, yeah, it's fine. I could get 2 more PDS. That seems great, but it's not fun or cool.
Exactly. And so I started brainstorming ways to make construction cool. And the first thing I came up with was essentially a flagship of structures. So you've got ships in TI, and then you've got your flagship, the one faction unique ability ship.
Mm-hmm.
You've got structures, PDS space dock. There's a lot of space to explore there, so I figured I could design a faction-specific monument for every faction. I also wanted to encourage some territorial play. So all the monuments, they have a restriction on placement. So normally structures can just go on whatever planet you control, but the monument has a specific restriction. So it can go on cultural or hazardous or Mechatol Rex, or it has restrictions based on tech specialties. So there's a lot of territorial play there, and then all the monuments have some big superpower. So the idea is you flip the primary of construction, and you can only get them with the primary, not the secondary. Mm-hmm. So it really encourages people to take the card. So in addition to the normal structures you get from construction, you can place your monument. And you only have one, but you can place it on one of your planets as long as it meets the qualification. Right. And then you get an additional superpower. So some of the examples. We've got things like the Arborec. The fighters in your monument system have production 1. Right? Yeah. There's some that are a little more straightforward. Things like the Sarduk Nor. All your units in that system and adjacent ones get an additional +1 in combat, so it makes it even stronger.
Very easy to have auto hit War Suns.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
I played an early build of monuments, and the one thing I remember being my kind of favorite thing about it is you took it also as an opportunity to sort of make an attempt to balance the factions some by giving things like, people say Jolnar and Sol are these really good factions, so you gave them somewhat lackluster monuments, and then people like Winu and Muat you gave these pretty like amazing monuments to.
Yeah.
Tell me, I played with the Muat one, and I need you to speak the words of what the Muat one does, because it's it's disgusting.
Yeah, so I did take the opportunity to try to add a little more faction balance, and the Muat one in particular is a big buff. It turns the system that the monument is in into a supernova. So,
which means nobody else can ever enter that.
That's right.
I'm trying to remember from our game, but we're trying to figure out, is there then any way to take those planets at all for anyone ever?
So without any additional expansion action cards, there's one agenda that can kill all the units on a planet.
Right.
That would then remove the monument.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I do have some monument-specific action cards and agendas that I've added that work with monuments. So it's kind of a safety valve in case any of them are really bad. So there's a card.
Right.
There's a card that lets you destroy a monument.
Gotcha.
And then I've also got some objectives that are based on structures to kind of encourage players to use their monument. A secret objective for having it, a secret objective for destroying one, things like that.
That's very cool.
What I loved about them was the fact that they are structures make them a really, really interesting balance. It could be like a person could easily look at like that Muat one and say that's absolutely ridiculous. But the fact that you are limited to placing it on really specific planet types, in some slices you only have like one realistic option, and you have to put it there. And depending on what it is, that balance, like I played as the Mentak in the game that I played with Monuments, and their monument has a lot to do with adjacency, but because of where I had to put my monument, I didn't get to control who was adjacent to me hardly at all, which like kind of auto-balanced itself out, because it's like I don't get to move this thing wherever I want. It's not like a flagship where I can be aggressive with it. I put it where it goes and hope to reap the benefits of it.
Yeah, so a lot of them care where they are. They have a range, and I wanted to design them so they had some wow factor. So if you read them, they're like, whoa, that's crazy powerful. But then in play, they're limited by the fact that you have to put them on a specific planet, and they only really affect part of the board. There's a couple of them that have global effects. The Xcha one lets you claim agendas if they were discarded, but only elect planet agendas. So it was also kind of it was kind of a way to make research teams a little more interesting. And, things like I have a whole series of monuments based on the anomalies. So the Muat create a supernova. The Jolnar, theirs creates a nebula.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the SAR monument creates an asteroid field. It's in an adjacent space so that you can't make it invulnerable with chaos mapping. But there's the Ghosts of Creus. It's just another D wormhole. It's just another Delta wormhole, which actually is really powerful, because you get to stack even more PDS on your wormhole and have more fun with that.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't even think about it like that.
But it also has its own problem, just like the flagship. People can lightwave deflector to your home system from yet another system.
Right.
So that's fun.
They're a lot of fun. We've been playtesting them locally for quite a while, and I've got them to a really good place.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I'm excited to get to see them in action at Gen Con. I'm sure you're excited to see more people. I mean, I know you've been sending out some playtests, but to get, a pretty isolated, like, here's 18 completely fresh faces checking out this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure there's going to be some good
and
comments from that.
Jada and I even have a crossover, so we've got a monument for the savages of Simia.
That's great. Yeah. I love that this little kind of like fan expansion is starting to come to fruition of like, these really specific high quality like ones where it's all you crazy people who are like, I'm going to completely create actual things that can be put into a physical game. At some point we're going to have to package and sell the whole lot of everybody who created this stuff. I love that that's coming together.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and hopefully players have fun with it at Gen Con. So we'll have it at the casual games.
Well, let's go back to talking about the tournament itself. Then, because there's a couple things we haven't covered, and we probably should, because people are going to ask. This is the nitty gritty stuff.
Yeah.
We learned a lot doing our tournament about like moderating and rule stuff. We've talked about moderating in terms of like your guys' time frame issue, but there's way more to it than that, and I know I've already seen questions on our Discord. So can you give us a breakdown of what your guys' first off, what your galaxy build and like faction selection process is going to look like, as well as what resources you will be pooling from to make rulings on the table, because that's for some reason that is a very wide range of things that could be chosen.
Yeah, it is. So last year we went with a vanilla rules as written tournament. So if it's in the rule book, we're going to do it that way. That means we're determining speaker at random. After we've done that, everyone's going to pick a faction. So speaker picks the faction, and then you go around the table and you just pick a faction. That means you've got the selection of all 17. So speaker can pick from all 17, the next guy 16, and so on. Worked out. Like we were afraid last year that we'd have, dominant Jolnar and Soul, and that the games would be really samey, and they weren't. Players adjusted to that meta, and it worked well. So I talked to my GMs this year, and we didn't see any reason to change. That may change in future events, but this year we're sticking with rules as written. We're building the board with the competitive build described in the rulebook, picking factions as with the very little information in the rulebook about picking factions.
Yeah.
So we do have random seeding, so we will either deal cards or roll dice to determine which seat you're in, so you don't just end up where you decide to stand around the table. You get a random seat. And then we go from there, and it worked very well last year. We're pretty cool with being like the vanilla event.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a good, especially because it's Gen Con and because you do see a decent number of people who join the tournament without having played that many games. It's not a TI event. It's a more generic event. So I think it makes sense to do it rules as written, and like you said, we didn't see any. It's not like we saw Soul win every single game. Like people balance against it because you guys are doing the competitive map build. I mean, people start the game going, well, I know who Soul is, so it looks like I can just go ahead and throw their game in the dumpster.
Yeah, and it means we might not see some of the bottom races picked at all.
Sure.
Which it's not the end of the world.
It happens. No, it's not, and it's. I mean, that's just part of the game. No matter what your setup method is, it's always going to encourage some factions over others, unless you're doing like full random. But nobody wants to do a full random faction selection for a tournament. That does not seem fun to me.
Yeah. Oh, I'll do. I'll
do that.
Yeah, now that you've said it, I'm like, that sounds really fun. Because I just feel like that would be a really cocky tournament. Because I feel like everybody in that tournament will be like, yeah, I'll play with whatever. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, I could get anything. I'm just ready to play. I just like the game.
And then
crazy.
Then when you pull off that Muat win, you're even better, right?
Yep.
So tell us how, if there's going to be any rules questions, what's the ref manual for Gen Con team?
Yeah, so we're going to go with the current living rulebook, whatever version is out at the time of the tournament. We're not going to lean on Dane emails, right? So it'll be at the game master's discretion. They can use the Dane emails or not, but because some of them contradict each other, I would not come into the event expecting strict adherence to third-party Dane emails submitted. And things. We're going to
and more importantly too is you guys just don't have. It's a 6-hour window. There's no time to sit for 10 minutes and like look through the BGG forums for the. It's like, nope, we got to make a call and we got to make it right now.
Exactly.
Maybe it's wrong. Oh well, we're moving on.
It's an enormous time sink to go in and do the research of finding, which thread had the answer to this particular question. So if it is not in the living rulebook and there's no clear answer, then we'll make a decision, and that's what you're stuck with for the tournament.
Right. I like that. Honestly, I kind of like if we ever do a tournament again, I think that we'll just do that. Because, I mean, even in the finals, there was the Boot the Dude debate.
Right. There's always debates. And
that's a tough one.
There's
that's
always
a real
question
tough one
that will be unanswered. Like, that's always a truth of Twilight Imperium. It's just like, some things don't make sense, and I'm sorry. They just don't.
Right. Yeah. But I like the stance of being like, listen, we're going to go with what was written down, what was important enough to actually make it into the book, and then beyond that, it's just the GM just decides just straight up. So I like the idea of kind of throwing out. I feel like people have gotten a little too into the Dane emails.
Yeah. Well, and obviously, hopefully by that point we have Living Rulebook 1.2.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed.
It's been teased for a while. Yeah. We're going to cross our fingers. There's no guarantee, but that's obviously what we're all hoping for. Is
because there's a lot of answers.
List.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of answers out there that will. We'll be agreeing with the Dane emails for most of the rulings. It's just some of the ones that would take far too long to like track down which particular one was answered.
Right.
It's the GM's discretion if it's not written in the rulebook.
Yeah. So, and you kind of covered this earlier, but if the game does time out, we hit the 6-hour time limit. What is the solution to determining a winner for a game that went 6 hours and 1 second?
Yeah, so we call time. We make you stop exactly what you're doing, and at that time we go straight to the Imperium Rex tiebreakers, which are just initiative order. If the players do not have strategy cards at the time, then it's just speaker around.
Yeah. Which,
So-
maybe that upsets some people, but I mean, that's what the rules are, and that's kind of all there is to go off of.
Yeah.
And honestly, you just got to kind of play around that, and that's what all the moderation is for, is to keep it moving on so that hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and to that effect, I mean, we'll notice if you're playing slowly, and if you try to game it, then we'll push you around and we'll end your turn for you.
Yeah.
Like if you are honestly stalling for a victory, then
right.
Everybody
Everybody played
not
very
going to let you
honorably
do that.
last year.
Yeah.
There was a situation
Yep.
where it was like looking like some crazy stuff could happen, but everyone was like, "No, I'm doing my action. Here's what it is. Moving on." Like everyone was kind of on the same page, which was really great to see.
Yeah, and as a GM, you're always worried about that bad situation happening, and it can happen. But we'll make sure we'll do our
I
best
think
to
it's
keep it from
more
happening.
rare than anybody thinks it would be. I know when we were doing our tournament, I was getting like emails and messages pretty often of like, "What if this happens?" And it's like, yeah, what if that happens? That would suck, but it didn't. It never happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't come up as like you think it would.
Yeah, people. I mean, you jump to the corner cases. You think of what's the worst case scenario, and it's good to think about and be prepared, but it's not a common thing.
So in the final game, is there
Yeah.
a time limit?
No, the final game we don't have a time limit. The only real time limit is the convention closing.
Right, right. Which is a day later.
Yeah. So we're running it Saturday night at 4. So if you won one of the qualifying games, you get a seat at the champion.
Be
table.
prepared to be busy Saturday at 4
Yeah.
p.m.
Yeah.
We had a couple players who almost didn't get to come because they had other events, but they did manage to set things aside. But just so people are fully aware of that up front, that if you do make it through, the finals are Saturday at 4, so you should be prepared.
Finals are Saturday
to
at
have
4,
that
so try not to plan anything Saturday at 4 if you plan on winning, which I think everyone plans on winning.
Right. If a winner is a no-show, what do you do? Do you guys bring in? Do you have the second place players come?
So
You runner-ups?
we record the runner-up for each game. We give them a call. If they show up on time, then they get the seat. Otherwise, we just reduce the player count, which
Gotcha. Hopefully everybody
would be
everybody came
unfortunate.
last year. I'm not really afraid of it.
we haven't had to do that yet, but we do have a plan if it happens.
Well, awesome.
Fun part, we've got prizes this year that are way better.
Yes. What are they?
So the last several years, we've been printing 3D printed War Suns in plastic, little plastic trophies.
Yeah.
Well, this year we upped our game, and we have 3D printed metal flagships. So these things are wicked cool. I'm gonna put some pictures up in various places of them. We've got gold, silver, and bronze metal flagships.
How much? What's kind of like the heft to them? I mean, you've held them yourself. You
Oh yeah.
have them?
So they're the size of the in-game piece, so you can use them in-game if you like, and they're made of steel. So like,
Oh wow.
they're
hefty.
They're
Yeah.
kind of hefty. Yeah, and they're nice and shiny, and
That's
they're
awesome.
very cool. I'm very excited to see some player reactions to these things because they're pretty wicked cool. So that's what you'll be fighting over in the championship.
That's awesome. That actually blew my mind when you said you could use them in game because that didn't occur
Yeah,
to me
oh,
until
yeah.
you said it. And I was like, that would if I had
Oh,
one
yeah.
of those, I would be like, yep, here's my flagship. Oh, it's from I won a thing, and yeah,
Yeah, it's all about the bragging rights. You show up to your
Right.
table and you're like, oh, I've got the gold flagship.
right.
I feel like somebody in 2020 is gonna come with like their flagship on a belt buckle and like come in with the belt above their head, like, let's go, bring it on, I'm the gold place. All right. So that's kind of all the details we have on the tournament itself. But I feel like we needed to talk about GenCon at large.
Yeah.
The rest of GenCon.
Yeah.
Hunter, we're doing a thing too, aren't we? We didn't really
All
talk
right.
about this at the top, but we'll be we've got our own thing.
Yeah,
going
so we've
on.
got our own event, and it's going to be a live episode of the show. So those of you that won't be at Gen Con will hopefully hear it,
Right.
and that it will be on the feed. Hopefully. I mean, that's a lot of... When I say that, I'm like, we've never done that before, so bear
Yeah.
with us.
I mean, we're hoping. My hope is to film it so that it's something we can put on YouTube.
That would
we'll
be
see.
cool.
We'll
too.
see.
Anyways,
That's the wish
let's
list.
go ahead and volunteer for a bunch of stuff that we don't know for sure that we're gonna do. Anyways, also we're gonna do a live episode on a cruise. No, so there's gonna be a live episode of the show. It is gonna be at GenCon. I think we will probably announce exactly what the episode is going to be about, like beforehand, so you kind of know what we're going to be doing, because I think you'll be really excited about it. I don't know that we're going to do that right now. I will say this for now, just to kind of tease. It's going to be more on the comedic side than on the strategic, but it will be very worth it, especially if you watched the... Here's my tease. It is going to be heavily in reference to the Space Lions documentary that Shut Up and Sit Down made, and is, I think, one of the main things that inspired us to start doing this podcast. So, so yeah, it'll be very very fun and super goofy. And please come, because I'm real nervous that
and when is that? That is Thursday.
Yeah, we're on Thursday at
3 p.m. Yeah, so look, again, don't search Space Cats. For some reason, you won't find it, but if you search Peace Turtles, you'll find it. You can also, it's listed under like a podcast. It's in one of the event halls.
Oh, and this is something I should say. Currently, it's, I did a goof. I messed up a little bit. I put the age, recommended age, I guess, for it as mature 18 plus, and people are reaching out being like, 18 plus, what are you gonna do? Like, this is, I just
it's a dirty show.
I didn't
very risque.
I didn't see all the age options. I didn't realize that they kind of go pretty deep. I just wasn't going to click all ages, because it just ended up like, I was like, well, I don't know. Like, if somebody brings like their 6-year-old kid to this, I'm not really sure they'll have very much fun. But I did see that there is a 13 and up, which seems very right on exactly what we need. So if anybody felt put off by the 18 plus, like, it's not going to be, I mean, it's not going to be any different than the show that you already listened to. Right. It'll just be one of the goofier episodes.
Right. And it like GenCon website doesn't restrict you from buying an 18 plus ticket, and like the people that will be at the door ticketing you in, that's us, so we're not going to turn you away. Right. So you're going to be fine.
Also, I'm trying to get it fixed. They have not changed it yet. After you submit the event, I haven't been able to figure out how to exactly change it. So I've emailed them, but I haven't gotten a response yet. So we'll see.
So don't worry about it being 18 plus. And Thursday at 3 p.m., 3 to 5. It's going to be a 2-hour live show.
Mm-hmm.
What else? GenCon. I'm excited for GenCon because last year I kind of really whiffed it in terms of spreading myself too thin and
spreading
not being available.
Spreading the entire team too thin. Spreading everyone that we were all doing this thing for the first time together, and you were like, hey, what if I've already planned out all the work that you guys need to do, and you guys need to get up early because you got a lot of work to do. And let me tell you, that's not how it's going to go this time.
Hunter won't stand for it.
I won't. I straight up won't. I'm going to look at the itinerary before and be like, oh, did you leave any time for us to have fun or like talk to other people or maybe like, I mean, it's so crazy, but at GenCon last year, we did not play any Twilight Imperium. Like, let that sink in for a second.
And Blarknob,
it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy.
Tried to get us to play. Like, he was like, we basically planned to do it, and then was just like, oh wait, actually, turns out we definitely cannot. And I'm hoping to fix that this year. I think our goal as of right now is we would love to do at least one Goodyin Brotherhood game there, because I already know of a few Space Kitties and Goodyin Brotherhood members that are going to be there. We're probably going to play a game on Sunday, maybe 2, if Hunter and I split up. But we'll find other time to play games as well. Like Hunter said, he might be in on that Friday game, but we want to be there, and I'm going to be checking in on Rogue Judge's area all the time. So if you want to meet us and hang out and chat TI, I'm going to be coming by there pretty often just because I want to check in on the games.
Yeah, and even if you don't get into any events, come down to the Rogue Judge's area. We're going to be on the floor of Lucas Oil Stadium,
which is the Colts run.
Yeah, which is always exciting. To be down on the football stadium, it's the Super Bowl of Twilight Imperium.
Yeah. Oh, it certainly is. Yeah, it's so much fun playing it where the horses run.
Yes, horses. We have the stampede.
Yeah. Well,
just to
yeah.
stay
Also,
fair.
we'll definitely be try to get together like meetups and stuff like that, and hopefully we'll be a lot more available. I am pretty serious about trying to play that Friday casual game just because I really want to play.
You should, man.
I really want to play Monuments really bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I am not above buying a ticket knowing full well that I might not use it and then be able to say like, hey, if you have a generic ticket, go play the casual thing. So I don't feel like there's anything wrong with me doing that. So I'm going I'm going to take up some space.
I want to also say I know so Sun King Brewing is in Indianapolis. If you've never been, they do special brews for Gen Con. Like they'll name a beer, something nerdy.
Yeah,
it's one of the more popular hangout spots, and we are definitely going to plan some sort of Twilight Imperium meetup. I do not know when yet. The most important thing with that is if you are on our Discord, make sure to post that you are going to Gen Con. We have a special like role in the Discord, like a tag, so that we can flag all the people that are going to be at Gen Con so that we can all meet up and we can easily find each other at the convention. So we want this to be a fun time where all of us can hang out and do all kinds of stuff. So we're going to go to Sun King Brewing. You know, I don't know what else we'll do, but we're going to try to do meetups. I would love to just play casual stuff. Like I just really want to play One Night Werewolf with fans. Weird stuff like that. I just want to go do cool stuff with TI peeps.
Yeah. Yes. Well, so the only thing we left for us to talk about, it seems like kind of a weird like backpedal now, but this yearly meeting that is going to happen every year in preparation for this Twilight Imperium tournament that will continue into infinity, correct? I mean, the current plan is for
in perpetuity. I expect my great grandchildren to be running Twilight Imperium at Gen Con,
and they'll talk about great knob daddy, grand
knob daddy,
the great knob grand knob.
My great knob daddy began this tournament years ago. Anyways, let's talk about what are some fun things that could happen in the future as far as this Twilight Imperium event, this tournament at Gen Con.
Well, some of the limitations we have are the number of game masters we have. Yes. So right now it's myself, my brother, and my friend Pat. That means we run 3 simultaneous games. Right, so if we could recruit more game masters, then we can expand the tournament. The format is a little tough. If we get an 8-player expansion, that makes it a little bigger. We did that with TI3, and that was really nice. I think that made it 48 players, which was great. We did 8 qualifiers with an 8-player championship. Mm-hmm. But even if that doesn't happen, there are things we could do like 2 simultaneous tournaments.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
it's nervous to say add a full round because honestly, Gen Con just isn't long enough for a 216-player tournament. We don't have that many TI players that go to Gen Con. I don't think that will ever happen at Gen Con.
I don't think that would happen, but we can do smaller scale expansion. And doing 3 rounds is tough. Expecting someone to play 3 full games of TI at Gen Con, dedicate that much of their convention to it, I think is a really big ask. But 2 rounds, we could do 2 simultaneous tournaments, crown 2 champions for the weekend. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I think it'd be real exciting.
Yeah, I think
I'm excited for it. I would love to see other tournaments even getting run. It's not like Blarknob and his team are the only people that need to be doing it. Obviously, they're running the best one, and we'll always be following their stuff. But like we even said earlier, if there's other tournaments running different rule sets, it'd be cool to see them going side by side. And I don't know. I think the more games we get on the floor, the better. Just because it makes TI look better.
Actually, that's a good idea. We could have like the vanilla tournament, and then the secondary one could be a different set of rules.
Some weird drafting. Yeah.
I like
that. Could be real exciting.
I actually really love that. That sounds like. Because then people can kind of self-sort too, like, all right, I'm into this type of play or whatever. There could be one that plays the way they were playing at Texas. I always thought their rule set was really fascinating.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Get a bag draft tournament or something like that going.
Yeah. Cool. Dope. Fun.
Well, this has been great. I guess one thing we didn't mention here is yes. We are the whole reason we're talking about this too is we are filming it again this year.
We forgot to bring that up.
We filmed last year's tournament. Not that you have any proof that happened, because let me let me give a shareholders meeting on Gen Content 2018.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened over the process of all of trying to edit down that video is essentially the decision to basically drop all of the footage from the prelims, from the qualifying rounds. So those 6 games, it was just an absolute mess.
Oh god, we made that
footage.
decision so long ago too.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, we just haven't really said that, but it's a long time ago.
Like it was pretty early on into it, looking at the thousands of shots and like being like, this is untenable.
Yeah,
completely.
It just wasn't organized well enough by me, and it wasn't. There wasn't really a good way to do it. Anyways, there's not a good way to shoot 3 simultaneous games. We don't have the production capacity to do that.
Yeah.
But what we learned from our own tournament. And learned from doing the finals last year is how to better record the finals and set those up. And in my editing of the 2018 finals, I've learned more about what I need to gather for the 2019 finals. So you're still going to get a 2018 video. It is absolutely my goal to get it before GenCon 2019. It would be absolutely horrendous to me if I didn't hit that goal at least. And I don't see any problem with that. Honestly, editing has been going very good recently. I'm just, I'm in the throes of it. But next year, I should say this coming year, because the plan is going to be set up so much better, I already know that we're going to be able to have the video released much sooner, almost because my plan is to maybe have 2 videos of it this year, which is to say we're going to be recording it as though it's live. We cannot live stream from GenCon. I want to go ahead and put that rumor to bed. A, you're not allowed to. B, the internet is not sustainable
you
for
can't.
that kind of thing. It would not be a stream that is watchable.
Yeah.
But we can record it as though it was live, and basically, hopefully like that night, I could be uploading a version of the GenCon video. So you could be seeing the GenCon game by Sunday,
right?
In theory. It'll take longer to actually upload, so by like Monday or Tuesday, you could see the GenCon game. And then what I would love to do is have a setup where I could still then do a pared down edited version of the video. But we've learned a lot about editing TI over the past year, which is just to say I've started to change my tune on like what I believe is the right way to do a GenCon video, and I've always had this dream of like, what if you could summarize everything in like a 40-minute video, and I'm starting to realize that doesn't do Twilight Imperium justice,
right?
And I'm just trying to figure out ways to do the 2-hour video or whatever that is, but it's like the dream I was chasing before was not a realistic one, and we've learned a lot more through the tournament and through doing our live streams and stuff like that there's a different way to go about capturing a 6-hour game in less time than 6 hours, and it does not mean cutting it into a 1/12 of the amount of time. That is a bit much.
Right.
Well, and your audience has the patience to play this board game, so I think they have the patience to listen to it.
Right. As long as you make
and watch it.
That's been the shift in the focus, is make the long video engaging for the entire duration of the long video. That's starting to be where my tune is kind of going. So if you want a teaser for what GenCon 2018 and what GenCon 2019 will kind of look like, I think that's what you should start to expect from those videos is something that feels sort of like a live broadcast, like you're watching the World Series of Poker, where it's like, it's edited down a little bit, but it's not like you're missing the major beat. You're seeing the main action of what happens at that point.
So you're going to have like hand cams and statistics.
That is my dream. Someday.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
When we're swimming in cash because of this big hot TI money.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to buy one of those poker tables that has hand cams, and we're gonna make people play at a poker table where we can see their action cards and stuff. That is my dream.
Oh, that would be so amazing.
Someday I will see it happen.
That would be so amazing.
Even just to be able to commentate the game from a booth, separate, and like
be
looking at
a
live feed, and just say everything. I don't know. Yeah.
We'll just bring a cone of silence to put around you guys.
Yes. Yeah, I love the idea of doing this all in a cone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good plan. We'll be like dogs.
Well, Blarknob, I want to thank you for coming on the show today, and I want to thank you for hosting this tournament. I had this thought earlier today of I felt so high and mighty after Hunter and I's tournament of like, oh man, we really pulled off this big tournament. We hosted so many games, and then I realized for the amount of years that you've been doing this, you have moderated way more games of TI than I can even think of. I mean, you've done 6. How many tournaments have you done?
Yeah, so we've done 3 years of TI3 and 1 year of TI4. And
Right. So
two
TI4
of the
was 7 games, and then you had a bunch of 8-player games. So what was that? 9 total games? 9-player games? Or did you use 6 8-player games?
So our TI3, the first year we didn't do a full 8 games. We did 6-player games the first year. But then every year after that we did 8-player games. And then
So in total, I mean, that's
So it might be about the
approaching
same.
50 games. You've done a lot of TI moderating, so you are still the king of
There you
TI
go.
moderating,
Woo-woo.
and I don't think I'll ever dethrone you because I just don't think we'll ever
Even
get
the
that
emperor.
many tournament games done on our own. But so thank you for all that you do for the TI community and for running this tournament.
Yeah.
So as well as you do everything we decided to do in our tournament, we learned from watching you guys do it at GenCon. So you're a huge benefit to this community.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for having me. I learned a ton from your tournament online, man. You guys that was quite an undertaking. That was an amazing thing you guys did.
Yeah,
It felt like it.
I'm like still sleepy. Like I'm gonna classify all of the episodes after the tournament as being Hunter's sleepy arc.
You guys have like PTSD from running the tournament.
Yeah, you bring it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, it was every Saturday for a long
6
time.
months for 4 months. Yeah. Well, thank you, Blarknob, and thank you for everyone who comes and joins us at GenCon. We can't wait to hang out and do stuff.
Looking forward to seeing everybody. If you know us from online, come say hi. And
Yeah, definitely. We'll be around. And if you want to, you can also rate this podcast on your podcast app of choice, especially Apple Podcasts and iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating if you like the show and if you like TI, so that we can keep growing the community bigger and bigger, so that we can get bigger GenCon tournaments and more GenCon tournaments and more tournaments at other festivals and conventions. Also, you can follow us at SpaceCatsPod on Twitter and SpaceCats Peace Turtles on Facebook. You can find our weekly posts on the Twilight Imperium subreddit, as well as joining our Discord for our discussion channels on the episodes, so that you can get included in future errata. Please consider joining our Patreon, where you can contribute to the show and basically act as varying degrees of a producer for the show, whether it be voting on topics to be talked about or completely coming up with a whole new topic yourself and being on the show with us. Blarknob's the one person who gets to come on the show pretty often and not be a space kitty. So if you want to be a Blarknob, you gotta join the Patreon and help us out. You can also find Hunter Donaldson in Portland, Oregon.
Yep. If you live in Portland, you can check me out doing stand-up comedy every Thursday at Earthquake Hurricane. That show starts at 8 p.m. at Ford Food and Drink. Some other shows I'll be doing this month include a show at Rogue Brewing on May 16th called Another Round. That starts at 8 p.m. Also that same night, I don't know why I put both of these up. Like, you're going to follow me to both of them. But, I mean, I guess if you're free May 16th and you're in the mood to see me do comedy, you've got 2 options. The other option is at The Nest, and that show starts at 9 p.m. I believe it's called For the Birds. And then May 25th, I actually got on a very good Portland show called Becky with the Good Jokes, which is at Funhouse Lounge, and that show starts at 9:30 p.m. And also, just to say it out loud one more time, we are doing a live episode at GenCon. Mm-hmm. Put it on your wish list. Get them ticks. We are
Get them ticks.
Get them ticks. Thursday at 3. I'm nervous already, and it's a long time.
Yeah, and the
so.
GenCon tournament qualifiers are Thursday and Friday at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I also want to thank some Patreoners. I want to thank our Space Kitties, Billy, TG Welch, Yin for Life, Patience is a Virtue, Naderade, and Jimbov. I know a few of them are going to be at GenCon, so I look forward to meeting them or seeing them again in person. And I can't wait to see Knob Daddy in just a couple months.
For sure. It's going to be great.
We are actually going to play together this time. That is going
I'm
to
making
happen.
it a pact.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
A blood oath to play with the Knob Daddy.
Yeah, we're going to play, and we're going to smoke you, Knob Daddy. Like both of us somehow. We're both going to win. And that's not even possible.
It'll be a team victory.
Right. We're gonna play or eliminate everybody else in the game.
What it's gonna be is we're gonna make sure your brother wins, and we'll know that is victory against you. We will team up with your brother and defeat you in a 4-player game.
It'll be a Pyrrhic
victory. Only
victory.
Purpose.
You just burn me to the ground.
Yeah.
No
you're
units left. Player elimination. It'll be rough.
You're gonna be so mad.
Thank you for listening to Space Cat's Peace Turtles, and thanks to Ben Prunty for the use of his music. You can find more at benpruntymusic.com and benprunty.bandcamp.com. Pax Magnifica, Bellum Gloriosum.